Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World of Marketing, where I, Tom Foster, talk with legal leaders about marketing mindset and the growth of law firm businesses. This episode is brought to you by my company, Foster Web Marketing. Since the internet was born, Foster Web Marketing has been the premier provider of customized websites, marketing, video, and strategic solutions for elite law firms. Our unparalleled web technology and marketing systems set the gold standard in the industry, catering exclusively to a discerning clientele who demand the best. Partner with Foster Web Marketing to experience uncompromising quality, cutting-edge technology, and exceptional service. Visit fosterwebmarketing.com to discover how we can help you achieve your most ambitious goals and solidify your position at the forefront of your field. But today, it is my great honor to have as my guest the man, the myth, the legend, Paul Faust. I've known Paul for many years. Paul is the president of RingBoost, the leading provider of phone numbers for law firms and medical practice in all industries nationwide. Paul is also an excellent marketer, filmmaker, comedian, professional networker, and all-around great guy. And I'm just happy to have my friend here on the podcast. I've been chasing him for a long time. Finally got him down in Florida. Paul, thank you, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Oh, it's great seeing you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we've known each other for so long. We've talked about doing this. We see each other. We keep talking about it. It's fine to finally connect and to put something onto a podcast that we could share with the world. So I'm honored to be on. You're one of the legends in the industry, and I'm honored that you asked me and wanted me to be on your podcast.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that, buddy. But you truly are a legend in this industry. Everybody that's anybody knows Paul, and you've worked with some of the biggest law firms in the country, right? I mean, You've been providing phone numbers for these guys. And not only that, though, but you're just a great marketer, a great person. You introduce people, you network, you just, that's how I met you. I think I met a whole bunch of people the first time that we met because you introduced me to a whole bunch of people.
I've always believed in this abundance mentality. My job in the industry is not to sell a lawyer something or sell a doctor something.
Right.
My job is to raise the level of everybody. Because if I raise the level of everybody, the firm, the practice, the vendor, there's opportunities for me. So, when I was first in the industry and it was all about sell, 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 and then I realized that that's not the approach. It's help, help, help. It's try and figure out who to connect who with, where the best opportunities are. Sometimes it's not my service, but sometimes a lawyer or a doctor comes to me with a specific problem and I could just try and push them to my thing. But I'm like, is it valuable to sell them a number that's going to help the phone ring more if they don't have an intake process to answer those calls? Is it valuable for me to get them a branded number if it doesn't tie into what their website is saying about them? I just kind of played the longer game. And I believe that if we all do it together, the opportunities will come. And I've been blessed with that. So yes, I've worked with the largest firms in the industry, but I've also worked with startups, people just out of law school, people just out of medical school that are just opening a practice. There's a market for everybody and we grow together. So it's just been a different approach. And I've been so blessed to be a part of it. But I saw it early on, after a few years of mistakes.
When did you get started, Paul? When did you start?
20 years ago.
Yeah,
20 years ago, no gray hair, no
kids. You look great. I mean, those of you that you look the same to me, man.
You know what? I think it's a mentality. But about 20 years ago, and it's been unbelievable to watch the industries that I'm in grow. But it's also interesting, and you'll notice this if you pay attention to your industries. There's always a lot of new flashy things that pop in. But if you really pay attention, you'll see a group of the same people that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years that have stood the test of time, that have ridden through the craze and the latest shiny gadget that's gonna change the world. You know what? There's a reason that people like Tom and I and others have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years because we help clients rise above that noise. And yes, there's a time and a place to test new things, but smart. And there's always somebody who wants to come in and wave something shiny. Those people tend not to be around very long.
It's true. And or those people that come in and say like phone numbers are dead, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember that, like when the internet came out, oh, you don't need a phone number anymore. Don't worry about that. Has that held up? Is that true, Paul?
No, I do more and more and more every day. But it was those people that came out and said, hey, you got to do MySpace. No, now you got to do a website. Now you got to get links, not those links, these links. You got to do content, not that content. No, it's TikTok. It's Instagram. It's Facebook. It's this, it's that. And yes, I'm a huge believer in the web and social media. I spend fortunes on it. I'm one arrow in the quiver. I'm one tool. But in the 15, 20 years I've been talking about it, I haven't changed the technology around it. I haven't changed how it's been used. I'm not the end all be all. You can't just get a phone number and do nothing. But I'm also a believer in the right markets, in billboards, in taxi tops, in radio, in TV. The only answer that I will give anybody listening on what's the best thing to do is it depends. Every market is different. If you're in a market with a couple whales that are blowing up TV, I probably wouldn't try to compete with them on TV. They're going to drown you out. There's other opportunities. You know, one of the nice things about the internet and the web is that it's a level playing field, that if you're smart, you could have the right content. You could get your brand out there. So there isn't a packaged answer that everybody can go with. I think we're seeing more and more that the answer is becoming more niche.
There you go.
Getting, become someone different. Be authentic. Don't just be, sort of as Mike Morse would say, who we all know, just don't be vanilla ice cream. Be Cherry Garcia. But I also think it is really important, while there's tried and true things that work, internet marketing, phone number marketing, all this stuff, you have to be aware of the latest trends and make sure you're paying attention, because we don't know which one is nobody knows. Not me, not you, not Gary Vaynerchuk. Ultimately, the market dictates how they want to interact with us. And we have to be there no matter how they want to interact with us. So I keep my ear to the ground. I listen to a lot of smart people, and I try and, kind of move my way around, but maybe a little bit slower than others.
What is your opinion about AI introducing itself in our world?
I think here's what I've always said about technology, and this quote doesn't come from me. I think it originally comes from Gary Vaynerchuk. AI doesn't care what Paul Faust thinks. Social media doesn't care what Paul Faust like. I think he said once at a conference that some guy, doesn't like Facebook. He's like, okay, Al, thank you. Nobody cares. I think AI is coming into the space. I think we're in its infancy. But here's what AI will never, ever, 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 never, ever be. AI will never be Paul Faust. AI will never be Tom Foster. AI will never be able to talk about the time that we had drinks together at a bar in Arizona, or that when we met at Great Legal Marketing, Ben Glass event, and talked, and your booth was there, and mine was here. It'll never do that. So it is a tool to be used for certain aspects. It is not a replacement of human beings and connection and intonation and emotion. Can it be used to maybe help write demand letters that I could then review? Sure. Can it help to make my firm and my business more efficient? Sure. Just like the typewriter moved way to the keyboard. But so I think it's something we all have to be aware of. But even more with the rise of AI levels playing fields. How do you differentiate yourself? Because there's only one Tom Foster. There's only one Paul Faust. Every lawyer is unique. Every doctor is unique. And it's going to be more important that we show our uniqueness, because at the end of the day, most people do business with people.
Yes.
So use the tools to build your solid foundation, but be you, and don't ever forget that people want to be with you if you do it right.
And that's what gets people to know, like, trust. You need people to do that. It's the emotional component that gets people to make a decision about something, not data. Data just kind of is there. Oh yeah, okay. They do what I want, but and that's why like AI is great, like you said, for like getting you maybe 70, 80% of the way there. But then you've got to be able to add your own flair to it. You've got to be able to, so it can do a lot of the minutia. Like for instance, like we're on Zoom here. We're recording this on Zoom, and Zoom has its little transcriber tool. I don't know if you've seen it, but so it's transcribing this, and then it's going to deliver you and me a transcription of everything that we talked about, and you're going to see how wrong it was.
No, yeah, but listen to what you said, which is important for people to pick up on. It's going to deliver a transcription of what you and I did. It's not doing anything. You and I are doing. You and I are doing something. You and I are sharing our experiences, our connections, our marketing, our whatever. It is then doing something for us. So use the tool, but it tells me that businesses need to start focusing on that 20, 30% that it can't do. Because now you're saying that every firm can write the same content. Every firm could put out the same demand letter. Every doctor could put out the same scope of treatment, so to speak. Hey, I have this. But no one will ever be me. No one will ever be able to have the personal connection with my clients, to understand their needs. So use the data, use the tools that technology has given us, and now incorporate it into who you are. And those that do that with their own personality, their own emotion, their own brand, will beat out the ones who are just using it as, well, I'm just going to be whatever it says I am. No, I'm going to tell it what I am and how I want to use it, not vice versa. So it doesn't scare me that much.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, Paul. I feel the same way about it. So tell me how do you talk to people about phone numbers these days?
Good.
Go ahead. I'm just curious how you sell them.
Well, it's very easy, actually. If I'm in a group of people and I say, all right, I've got 1,000 people in the room and I'm going to ask you a question. There's a potential client, whether they've been hurt in an accident or have a medical issue. I go, you have two choices. They've been hurt in an accident. They can go to your chat bot. They can email your firm. They can fill out a form, or they can get you on the phone. Which would you want? Every single hand is going to raise that they want them on the phone. Why? Because if I get you on the phone, I guarantee you that if Tom Foster gets you on the phone, he will convince you that Foster Web Marketing is the right company, that he understands the business. And if a lawyer gets you on the phone, I will empathize, and I will get you to understand the right lawyer, and I will sign up more cases. So if that's true, that if you want to get them on the phone, then why don't you think about the phone as a strategy? And again, there are clients that want to research about you on the web. There are clients that don't want to talk on the phone. They want to chat. They want to text. So we have to listen to what the clients want. But if there's a client that wants to connect with you on the phone, why are you ignoring that piece? Because I know, whether it be in the auto business, they've shown in tests that a phone call to a dealer closes faster than a web lead. So it's a tool to be used the right way. And so when I tell people that, and they go, yeah, I'd rather someone get me on the phone because I'll close them or I'll sign them up as a client. I go, okay, then why are you driving them only to the web? If they
that's crazy.
It's crazy. If they find you on the web, good.
I want to tell you this experience I had, because I know that you can relate to this, and I want to have a discussion about it. So here at my house here, I had Xfinity cable, right? Internet and whatever.
Sure.
And I was paying too much. And I was like, I don't need all of these things. I don't need this and that. So I was trying to get somebody on the phone to dial it down. I go to the website, and on the website, you're supposedly allowed to pick packages, but you're only allowed to like upgrade or discontinue. You're not allowed to trim off pieces. So then you go to the phone number, you call the phone number, which you got to dig and find, which is so frustrating. And then that phone, when you call, it's a bot. It's just a AI person talking on there. And, you have to push the one, press two, or say these things. And I kept on saying, I want to speak to a human. I want to speak to a human. And they would please go back to the website. They sent me back to the website on the phone. And then they made a mistake. You'll appreciate this because you've had a similar experience. They sent me a text for feedback, right? Or an email for feedback. And I was like, oh, my opportunity. So I sent them this feedback where I was like, your support is terrible. I was talking to a bot. All I wanted to talk to was a human being, blah, 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 blah. I gave you, it was a 0 to 10. That's what it was, a 0 to 10 rating. And I gave them a 0. And so what did I get? I got a customer support person or a feedback specialist call me up right away. Like within 10 minutes of me sending that email back to them, they called me right away. Oh, please tell us what happened. I told them what happened. I was like, can I talk to a human now? I was talking to a human, but they couldn't help me because they were only in the feedback getting
just the feedback department,
right? So they had to put me on hold and then transfer me to some unknown place that they didn't even know for somebody to finally call me up, which they did. And I got it worked out. But it was so infuriating. And this is all of this with the businesses, every business, every industry is doing it.
Now, Tom, this was a $100, $200 cable bill.
Yeah,
Transpose that to someone in a car accident, in a hospital, looking for representation.
Right. They're not going to go to, they might go to the website, get the information. Okay, this is a person that can help me. But then they want to call. They're not going to fill out a contact form, and they're not going to be annoyed by chat. Right?
Look, I've always said, if somebody finds you on the web, that's beautiful. That's what we all spend our money on in social media. But if somebody happens to find you offline from a referral, from a billboard, and they have to go digging to figure out how to reach you. So I'm in a motorcycle accident, and I call and say, hey, Tom, I was in a motorcycle accident. Who should I call? And you say, call this lawyer. And I go, what's his number? And you go, well, I don't know. So now I go online to look up this lawyer, whatever, John Smith, motorcycle. And all of a sudden, there's some guy that has the Google listing or the PPC, and it says, Maryland's best motorcycle lawyer.
Right.
Never lost it. Maybe I call that guy too. So why would you drive people to where your competitors advertise? If they find you on the web and find you on social, which I'm a huge fan of, awesome. But if they're finding you offline, if they're finding you from referrals, radio, TV, print, whatever, why not make it easy for them just to reach you? Why not eliminate that step? So again, I tell people all the time, you chose your name. You chose your logo. You chose your website. You chose your brand. Most of you probably put up some paint swatches to choose what color paint you want in the office. And then you went to the phone company and said, screw it. Just give me the next number off the pile. Don't care. It's craziness. Why not? Because there's an option. Choose something you like. Choose something that's memorable. Choose something that ties into your brand. Choose something, whatever. You're choosing everything else. Why leave this to chance? But again, I'm one component. And
what is the best phone number in your experience? The best phone number you ever put out there?
Wow. Look,
I know you've done a bunch of good ones. Yeah.
I've done so many good ones. And the true answer is it also depends on how you market. Let me give you an example. I have a lawyer friend of mine, John Michael Bailey. His entire campaign is about we fight. We fight for our clients. We fight the insurance companies. We fight for people in Tennessee. I got him 888-WE-FIGHT.
Oh, that's great.
So it ties in. I had another client in Pennsylvania, and his ads always said, you ever wonder why some attorneys get more for their clients? We always get more. Call 844-GET-MORE. So the number always ties into the marketing. Some people don't want words like that. They just want digits like 222-2222. So I have so many, whether it be 1-800-HOME CARE, 1-800-HURT NOW, 1-800-HOSPICE, but also lawyers that have done, 201-222-2222, 201-222-HURT, back. I like to get more involved and stop the mistakes. An example, and I'm paraphrasing. Guys I want my last name, 1-800-ZABISCNU. I'm like, you don't even know how to spell your name. Like, why would you want that? Or people use not real abbreviations. It'll be lawyer,
Yeah, they're being too clever.
LAYR.
Right. Clever. Right.
So we want to be smart about it, but we also don't want it to be, I don't want your web guy to be branding you as a We Fight guy. Like the whole message on the fight about We Fight, and then your phone number is hurt. I'd like to see some tie-in. So I've seen so many lawyers go to a conference and they run into good sales guys. So they sign up with a web guy. They sign up with a guy who's going to do newsletters. They sign up with this, and the four marketing people aren't talking, so it's disjointed. I think that's a mistake. I think you need to have, what is your brand strategy? Who are you in the marketplace? What are you building? And let it all tie in together. So if we're going to get a number like We Fight, bring that to your web team and say, look, let's emphasize this term, the We Fighting, the fight, blah, blah. Let's use that in our blog posts. Let's use that in our graphics. So there's a cohesiveness to the marketing. That's what I've always told people.
And so people remember it. Like people remember it, just like what you were saying in the beginning. Like if you're in an accident, you ask your friend who a good, car accident guy. Oh yeah, 1-800 We Fight. That's my buddy Bill. Right. That's what they're going to say.
Do you know the number 1-800-Flowers?
Yes.
Okay. And
I use that.
You've used one, and you're in Rehoboth. You spend can you, just off the top of your head, give me the number of 2-3 other flowers, just quickly.
Don't have them. I would never go anywhere else. 1-800-Flowers. That's it. I got
that's why it works.
Right.
You just know it. Now I understand it's a simple argument, and I wish that I could kind of whiz bang people like web guys do with algorithms and codes and this. I can't. It's just pretty simple. I just want to make it easy for them to reach me when they want to. But again, one tool, one arrow in the quiver to use.
But here's the thing, Paul. Here's what happens to everybody, and I don't care what industry it is that they get tired of simple. And when something works over and over again, they get tired of the routine, right? And they got to, we got to do something new. That old thing that's been working for me for years and years, now I got to try something new. Instead of like, well, let's double down on that old thing that's been working for me for years and years. Look, so I do websites, as you know, and I've been doing them for 25 years. And I still find websites that don't have phone numbers on them prominently, law firm websites. Can't believe it. Because that is the first, like the web, yeah, great. Somebody's going to go to Google and type in some search or look for your brand or whatever. They're looking for information. But the next instinct, in my mind, is not that they're going to go fill out a contact form. That's a passive person, right? That's somebody that's probably not ready to hire you, is probably not going to hire you, or shopping around. The thing that they do next is want to pick up the phone because they want to hire you right now. If you say the right thing to them, they want to get you right then, like faster than chat. Like chat, great. There's some people that's all they want to do, but the majority of the people in the world, on the planet, are going to pick up the phone.
Yes, and I would instruct my people handling those chats that what you want to do is answer the question and get them on the phone as quick as possible. Don't just engage them in chat. Once you got a sense that this person, needs a doctor, has been hurt in an accident, and I would say, Tom, this time, are you available right now? I think it's important we speak. Let's get them off that and into, because with chat, there isn't emotion. There isn't intonation.
You're right. Yes,
I can't empathize. I could say, oh, I'm sorry. Does that mean I'm sorry? Does that mean, oh my God, I am so Tom? Are you okay? Are you in a safe place? Are you with the doctors? Is your family there? Is there something I can do to help right now? There's empathy and emotion and immediacy you can't get. So use those tools. Use your web presence to get them if they're searching. When they get to that website, go, wow, this is a professional organization. I'm impressed. I want to speak to these people quickly. Then your talented team can get them to the next level, which is hopefully, signed as a retainer, or if it's a doctor in for an appointment. So we have to use these tools. And as they give us more tools, AI-related tools, that's cool. use them to move through to ultimately connecting with someone, not you just use that tool to, okay, you're qualified, blah, blah, blah.
Not to delay it, right? Not to filter it or delay it. Like, you want to ultimately use these tools to get to somebody faster, to a person faster. That you're right, that has the empathy, that can make the appointment. And that's another thing I want to talk about is is intake, because ultimately people are going to get on that phone. The one that's going to hire you is going to get on the phone and talk to you. And tell me, what do you think? Is intake not the most important piece of your business?
I am such a firm believer that most of our clients, at least in the legal world, could survive and do very well with not 1% increase in their contact forms and their phone calls. That if the world shut down in some way and they would never get more than they're getting now, no more web visitors, no more phone company, no more phone calls than they have currently, they could still grow their practice because they're missing. There's so many things filtering through the bottom that they're losing, that they're missing the intake. They're missing. I'm like, yes, we always want to grow their web visitors and their amount of phone calls. But I say to them, if you couldn't have any more than you've had over the past year, this is your average, you are missing diamonds in there because your intake isn't listening. They misheard. They didn't answer right. They didn't empathize. They put someone on a hold. The person said everything they need to say and they didn't move them to the close. Yes, I think intake. If I call someone and I get some rude person, I'm done.
Exactly. I think that is the most important thing, more important than your website, more important than any other marketing, more important than anything, is who's answering the phone for you. If you're a law firm or a medical professional, I mean, like, especially like every industry for sure, but especially those two industries.
Yes.
Because as you said, they have to be empathetic. They can't be a frustrated person that's like paid like, shillings per hour,
right. like they're doing you a favor.
Right.
Like they're doing you a favor by answering the phone. But as someone who's been in this industry a long time, a friend of mine, Harlan, always said, you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. So it's not only important that they're the right person on the phone to empathize, to get that information. It's also critical that they pass all of that information down the line. I can't just put in my form to, let's say it's a lawyer. Mary Smith was injured, broke her leg, and she's at the hospital. I also have to say Mary Smith's sister's with her, who's doing a lot of this for her, when I pass it down to the lawyer, the paralegal, or the doctor, I can't just say John Smith's coming in for an appointment at 2. I got him. What did you learn about John Smith that I need to know? So what they're entering into your contact system is critical. Critical.
Because it's so frustrating, as we've all experienced, when you call somebody, a business or whatever, and they ask you a bunch of questions, and you tell them your name, information, what your problem is, and they're like, okay, let me transfer you to that department. And then you get transferred, and then they ask you the same questions over again. And then you're like, what the hell? And then that immediately creates distrust with that brand, with whoever they're working with, because you're like, you don't even know what you're doing in your own business. How are you going to help me? And that's why what you're saying is so important. If that intake person is able to get as much information out of that prospect or that prospective patient as possible, and delivers that detailed information to the lawyer or the doctor, and that doctor calls back or gets on the phone or whatever, and they know all that stuff, that's going to make them immediately feel so much better. And that's going to almost guarantee that they're going to hire you if they know that, if they have that kind of thing, that experience.
It almost feels like they're your clients already.
Right.
As opposed to, I'm starting new. And the other people, the other thing, Ged,
I was just going to say, because I mean, you and I focus on the legal and medical industries primarily, and this is where it is most important, right? This is where it is most important to be able to do this.
It's mission critical because look, in the legal field, that one you miss could be the multi-million-dollar case or the big case, and in the medical field, it could be a client for life that's seeing you 2-3 times a year. As a regular patient that has a family and friends that become your patient. So missing one could be the thing that changed your revenue for the year. The other thing that people miss is that when they're doing marketing, whether it's web or off brand, you're not marketing to me. You're marketing to me and everyone I know. If you handle me correctly, your marketing is irrelevant to all the people I know. Right? I know everyone behind me, which means you're marketing to them for free. You spent your dollars to get me, but if you did it right, you get my entire network for zero marketing dollars. And
100%.
Don't forget that even if I call you and I'm not the client for you, how you handle me and how you treat me could mean the difference is I send you 20 other people because I say, these guys were awesome. It wasn't the right fit for me for this reason, but I would recommend it because I love the way they handled it and I love the guidance they gave me. So I think this is really important for people to understand.
That's true, and that has worked for us, our business. My brother Chad, of course, and we get people that call us all the time that can't, that are not at our level. They can't afford us, or they're just getting started, or whatever, and we help them find somebody else, right? And they've referred other people to us and end up being great clients. So it works in every industry, right?
Right. You don't know who you're dealing with. Treat everybody with respect. Don't look for the quick dollar. The quick dollar is quick and short, and you'll have a very short existence. Play the long game. Take care of people. The guy that can't afford you now has friends who can. The guy who can't afford you now might grow and say, hey, now I'm ready for you. The guy who comes to you for A, but you help them get B, C, D, and E, they'll remember that. And by the way, B, C, D, and E vendor will remember that you brought them over because it was the right thing. Play the long game. The short game guys are the ones who you see it. They're in stocks, and then they're in mortgages, and then they're in Bitcoin, and then they're in EFTs, and then they're in whatever's the next flashy thing. Okay, maybe they make a good living at each one, burning bridges. I don't like that. I love the fact that I'm part of a community. I'm part of an industry. I'm part of a growing industry. And as you and I talked about kind of before we went live, I'm 54. I've been doing this 20 years. I believe I have an obligation to the industry to help the next generation of vendors, to help lawyers. So when I'm out of the industry, this industry, thrives, and I teach people the things that I learn. I want to spread this because look, I have a daughter in college who might want to go into the legal field. I want there to be an industry. There's an amazing group called The League, which is empowering women in our industry. I think we need to support the industry and stop just thinking about what's good for me. What's good for Paul? What's good for the industry that we're in? If the industry grows, I'll have more opportunity in it. That's why I promote every conference. I try and get more people there because the more people that are there, the more opportunity for other vendors to meet them. The other opportunities for me to meet more people. So I just believe in this bigger plan and bigger strategy and longer play, which is why I've been doing this so long and why I seem to know, kind of everybody.
And I see you everywhere. And so on that note, is there I know they're different for different niches, but is there a particular conference that you think is like one of the best conferences for lawyers?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually started a group, it's on Facebook and LinkedIn, called the Conference Connection. And the whole point of it, if you follow the Conference Connection, we're not sponsored by any brand. We just go on and tell people what conferences are coming up, who the speakers are, who from your firm should go, how to register. Because there are conferences that are more for the marketers in the firm. But, you've got, like the business of law, things like that, that are mainly for the marketers. Then you got NTL, which is for everybody. It's got stuff for marketers, stuff for firm owners. You got things like Lanier, which is really for the trial guys. There's so many different PILMA, marketing, practice management. I wouldn't look at PILMA and say I'm sending my top trial guys there to learn trial trade. You have TLU, Real Trial Academies. So I think it's important that you look at these conferences. Hey, these are ones that maybe I should be sending my intake people to. This is one for my paralegals. You have MTMP, which is a mass tort world, but they have tracks for paralegals. They have tracks for marketers. So I think it's important to pay attention. I also think people make a mistake when they look at conferences. There are three components to a conference. Okay. So I've heard people say, well, I don't like those speakers. Who cares if you don't like the speakers? There's the lawyers. That's your network. So there's not one problem that you have in your practice that hasn't been dealt with before. So you've got the lawyers. You've got the vendors who know more about a lot of this stuff than anybody else. Then you've got the speakers. So there's really three reasons to go. And I would encourage the guys who run their law firms at each one, bring some new people from your firm. Bring a paralegal. Bring a junior associate. Switch it up. Let them see the overall community. Pick up new ideas. If you're just the only one going all the time, you've kind of been in the forest. You're a little bit biased. Bring somebody new who might say, wait a minute. I met this vendor. It's really interesting. Maybe you didn't pay attention, but I heard something different. Or I really hit it off with this lawyer in another market, and they're going to start sending referrals my way. So I would encourage you, if you're the law firm owner, go to these events with an open eye, open ears, and bring different people from your firm to experience it. Get them out of their desk. Get them out of their environment. Let them see more. But anybody who wants to follow the Conference Connection, and if you have a conference going on, let me know. We'll talk about it. The whole point of it is to grow the industry and let people know where to go and what's coming up. There's a lot of great ones coming up.
I totally agree with you about bringing somebody, because if you're like a solo practitioner, entrepreneur, lawyer, and you're just learning all this stuff, you're just getting into it. And even if you've done it for a while and you go to a conference, when you go back and your head's full of ideas, and you're like, okay, we're going to change this. We're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Everybody back at the office is like, what the hell happened to you? We're not doing any of that. We're not going to change anything, right? You end up having to try to explain it, and you run out of steam. You're not able to implement all the things that you learned because you got to actually practice law and you got to get back to work yourself. So I totally agree with you on that, is that you need to bring your operations person, whoever is doing your operations. I also recommend all law firms should have a CEO, like somebody running the show instead of the lawyer running the show. You should have a businessman running the show there at a law firm, right?
That's what Mike Morris and John Knockhays will talk about in Fireproof. Mike is the visionary. He's and John is the implementer. He's the one who makes it all happen. That firm needs both. And Mike can't go to a conference and try and learn everything. He's got to bring John. And when Mike goes, he'll bring 2 or 3 or 4 lawyers from his team. He'll bring other team members because they're looking for different stuff.
Right.
But it's also hard for a lawyer to come back and say, guys, get in here. Let me tell you, you can't get as excited about it than when you heard Bill Biggs speak about leadership.
Yep.
When you heard, you speak about some changes in Google's algorithms or in the blah, blah, blah. And then now I'm a lawyer trying to explain it to my people. And by the way, it's there. Or now I'm consulting for an amazing company on the side called Zip Leads, totally outsourced lien resolution process. And we've been switching firms left and right. It's going to be hard for the lawyer to try and explain that to his team as opposed to us. So bring your people, let them experience. I will guarantee you that if you bring people from your firm, they will pick up tips, they will meet people, they will see things from vendors that they will come back that you missed because you're going in with a bias. You're going in, maybe you know too many people, so you're getting pulled over here. You're being pulled back to what you've always seen. They don't know anybody. So all of a sudden they went and saw some really cool vendor that you missed. Or they went to a speaker and said, wait a minute, this firm's doing something really cool. And then you would say, oh, I didn't know that. So get them out of the office. It's an investment with an obscene rate of return. Do not look at the cost. And it also shows your employees that you value them more than leaving them at their desk into their little box. The world is bigger. Let them see it.
Exactly. 100%. I totally agree with you. And I've seen firms just explode when they start thinking that way, and they bring their people with them, because the other thing too is those other people can go back and train everybody else, and the rest of the staff that didn't get to go knows, hey, I might be able to go now, next year or whatever. And wow, I'm way more into learning about what happened and making change than when just firm owner, the lawyer came back and said, I want to do this and this, and throws him some materials, because right, he's been like hanging out with his buddies and not seeing all the things. I mean, and all the vendors that come to these events, like a lot of those vendors are there not for the lawyer to, the lawyer doesn't understand, how this particular vendor can help them. I mean, they might be able to, but maybe an intake person or your office manager or your COO, they're going to be like, wow, this could help us so much. This particular vendor, what they do could help us so much. Yeah, I mean, like, and they could meet Paul Faust. That's the other thing, right?
And that is, look, you can make an appointment, you can call. I've always said to lawyers that I don't know, I said, you're a lawyer. Write a contract that you will never buy anything from me, and I'll sign it. Now come to me and ask for my help. I know that I could bring you to the right vendors. I could introduce you to other lawyers that'll help you. So you're right about that you don't know. There could be that one meeting and event that will change your practice because you met I have literally introduced baby lawyers, newbies, whatever.
Yep.
And they hit it off with the biggest names in the business who've said, I'm going to guide you. I'd like to go, you know what? I'm going to help you, and introduce them to vendors. And that had said to me, Paul, that one introduction changed my practice. But you're not going to get that sitting at your desk. You and I would not have the same relationship if we never met in person, never had a drink at a bar, never got to see each other's humans, never with your brother rafting down a river in Wyoming. Like him and I are both the leads. We were the two leads on the boat. Like that's how you build a relationship and story.
Yes.
So I encourage you that, the group at Legal Association Marketing that runs NTL, Lanier, Business of Law, they now took over Law to Grow. They now took over TBI. Find their conferences, go to the Conference Connection, we'll promote them. If Law Tigers has their own motorcycle laws, there's a new one called Big Truck. There are events out there for you. If it's near you, if you're able to go, don't just look at the speaker, look at the vendors and who the other people you can meet. I think once you start getting out to some, you will see that there's a whole world you are missing with your head down in the office, just trying to block and tackle.
And that speaks to virtual events too. Like virtual events are fine for like learning stuff and, get it, but they don't, everything that you and I just talked about here in the last 15 minutes, you don't get that. You don't get that at a virtual event. You don't meet people. You don't, everybody's hiding their camera, there's no interaction. Like this virtual world, there's pros and cons to it for sure. But thank God conferencing opened up again after COVID. Yes. Those were rough years during that time.
Tough for a lot of us.
Was seeing, right. Yeah, exactly. And thank goodness we got past that and we're, able to see each other again.
I've had lots, and I'm not talking about 1, 2, or 3. I am talking about dozens of business deals that I've done because people have come over to me and said, Paul, I saw you talking with all these guys. Or I see that the leaders in the industry are your friends and they know you, or they've shouted you out from the stage. I wanted to come talk to you. That wouldn't happen if I wasn't out and about. That wouldn't happen if I sat in my office and just did the best I could at my job. That still wouldn't happen. But when Mike Morse or Ken Hardison or Harlan or Bill Biggs or Brian Lebovic see me in the room, or Alex Gennara, and say, oh, there's Paul Faust. Paul Faust, stand up for a second. Have you guys met Paul? That's what happens when you're out amongst people, because people do business with people they trust, people they know. And so I would encourage you, try it, get out to these events, meet people, bring your staff to these events. You will open yourself to a whole another avenue of growth that you haven't experienced. And just meeting other people in the business. It's phenomenal.
And when you go there, everybody, if there's like a group of people huddled around a person, know that that person inside that group is Paul Faust.
I
Always.
will do my best to be in that group. I truly love people that want to know everybody. So reach out to me if you don't know me, and I'd love to connect with you.
Yes, you're a great guy. So, Paul, you're obviously great looking guy, charismatic, knowledgeable, intelligent. And so through your life experiences, you've become a filmmaker recently.
Yes.
So tell me how this came about, and tell me, let us know about some of these films you've done. I saw one, a very funny one not long ago, but go ahead. I want you to tell me how this.
So this all came about. Truly, I've kind of lived my life this way, but I was in a coaching program with someone named Jesse Itzler. And if you haven't followed Jesse Itzler, had a program called Build Your Life Resume, big ass calendar club. And it's about 8-9 years ago that it really switched my brain and how to live. And my life plate in my car is BYLR, which stands for Build Your Life Resume. It's not about your paper resume. I want to do different things. I'm not just the president of RingBoost and I sell phone numbers and I'm going to spend 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. I want to experience different things. So I said, why can't I? Why can't I go make movies, which is fun and a passion? I like acting. So I started a film. I met a guy named Bruce Palacci, knows how to write, direct. I don't know these things, but there's another book that I recommend everybody read. It's my favorite business book, and it's called Who Not How. Who Not How. Everybody's asking how. Well, how do I make a movie? How do I do this? I don't know. I didn't ask how. I asked who. Bruce was my who. He knows how to write, direct, create movies. I know people who could invest in movies, and I'm creative, so we partnered up. And when you think in the who, not how mentality, if I want to open up a company and I want to start doing SEO on websites, I'm not going to go, well, how do I learn all this stuff? How? I would say, who do I need to talk to? Who's an expert that I could partner with? And then I could be your who and you could be my who. So it was a passion. I've always wanted to do it. I acted when I was in high school. And now that I have a business and a career, I've said, I want to start making movies. Bruce and I started to partner up. We're making independent films. We shot one, our first one, which was, it was all right. It was our first work together called Love Kills. It's on Amazon and all the platforms. We just finished another one about 6 months ago.
What was the name? What's the name of it?
Love Kills.
Love Kills.
My first one. Shot a little quick. We only had 5 days, lower budget, but it was a good experience to learn. And that's, you learn in your failures. And then we just finished another one like 6-8 months ago. It's now making its round through the circuit, through the festivals. We've won, I think, 4 Best Pictures, 2 Best Actors. It's called Patch. It's not out yet.
Wow.
It's a relationship story between a boxer and a trainer, and there's love and redemption and some racism. And hopefully we'll sell that once we finish the festival circuit. And then we're going to start another one, shooting September 3rd through the 13th, which is going to be a horror movie called Room 13. And what's even cooler about the whole story of making movies is when I decided to make the first one, what did I do? All the investors in the movie were lawyers from our industry. So I kept it in-house. I made it fun. I brought the guys and I showed them how to use this movie for their social media, because I don't know how many people care about the 7 things you do if you're in a car accident blog post, but they find out that you're in a movie. They find out that there's a movie character named after you. Let's put that on social. So it was Bill Biggs and Brian Lebovic and Brett Turnbull and Talamonte and Teddy Foreman and Michael Kelly. All these guys invested. Don Worley and Brian Lebovic came to be in the movie. So we get to have fun, do things with our friends, be creative. I love it. That's
great.
And if any of your listeners happen to be in South Florida or love the TV show The Office, which I did an episode of, July 13th and 14th, we're having an office convention in Miami. You can look at reunioncon.com. Got about 25, 30 cast members. If you're a fan of the show, Rain and Angela and Paul and Creed and Kate, they're all coming for a 2-day fan.
Wow. Wow. You were in an episode of The Office?
I did an episode of The Office and played myself, Cool Guy Paul. So my Instagram handle is at Cool Guy Paul Faust. And so we have a fan conference and all the, a huge amount of cast will be there. There'll be question and answers, autograph signing, Miami Airport Convention Center, July 13th, 14th. So if you're a fan of the show, check it out.
That's fantastic.
Don't let anybody tell you can't do something. My favorite thing is when people said to me, Paul, you sell phone numbers. You can't make a movie. I said, okay. And they go, you're not making one for 50 grand. I said, okay. Well, if you make one, which you can't do, you're not going to get it sold. I said, okay, thank you. So I made a movie. We made it. Okay. Came out to like 55. And I'm on Amazon and Netflix and all the others. So tell me I can't do something. And if someone says you can't do something,
just fuels you, right?
If someone says you can't do something, what they're saying is I'm too afraid to do it.
Right. Exactly.
But go do it. Go live your life. Don't wait till later, because we don't know if we get later.
Yep. And if you need help, if you need inspiration, get to know Paul, because he will help you and inspire you and introduce you to the right people to get whatever you want done. Right, Paul?
I would love to. Anybody who listens to your show, reach out to me, connect with me on Instagram, email, phone call, smoke signal. Hit me on my beeper. Snap. Go to my MySpace page. I don't care. Reach out, connect. I love talking to people. Love to hear your story. Love to figure out how we can help each other out, what we're passionate about. So anyone can reach out to me. I can give you all the different ways if you like.
Well, that's fantastic, brother. Well, Paul, it's been great talking to you, man. We've known each other for a long time, been friends for a long time. It was really great to see you down in New Orleans. What was it, a month ago?
A little over a month, yeah.
Yeah, a little over a month ago. Because it had been a long time before that that I had seen you, but it was great to see you again. I'm so happy for you and your success, and that you have gone beyond and you're living your dream. When I met you, you were in New York. Now you're down in South Florida, living in paradise and doing, making movies. It's so great. I just love it. So I'm very happy for you, my friend.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing. Thank you for being such an open, kind, sharing person.
I appreciate you. It's been a long relationship. I appreciate you having me on. I always love seeing you and your brother, poke in. We don't have to see each other every day, but we see each other. It's an automatic connection. And that's what this world should be about. If we all focus on that and not the division we have, get to know people first as humans. And then you will find that most of the things you disagree with, you agree more on than you disagree on. Don't meet on the opposite sides of an issue. Meet human beings, and you will find the world's a much better place. And that's how I try and look at it.
100%. Okay, everybody. So back to the beginning, though. Everybody needs a phone number. And if you don't have one, or even if you have one, talk to Paul, because you could probably get a better one, because this guy's got a genius for this stuff, and he'll come up with a great one for your brand. So RingBoost.com. Talk to Paul Faust to get your phone numbers. I encourage you to go out to those shows, and you will see him out there. Get to know this man better if you don't know him already. Paul, thank you so much, buddy.
I appreciate you. Much love, man. Tell my love to everyone else.
I appreciate you. All right, hang on for a minute. All right, everybody, Tom and Paul on the World of Marketing. Thank you for listening or watching or both, and I'll see you soon.